Greetings, I'm David Kong. I'm the founder and principal of It's Personal Stories. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Carolyne Doyon. She is the president and CEO of Club Med in North America and the Caribbean. Carolyne is well recognized in the industry. She recently won one of the top women in travel and hospitality award, and she's been well known for her leadership as well as a commitment to empowering others to succeed. I'm honored to have you on the show, Carolyne.
It's an honor to be here, David, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. You have a very interesting career journey. I know you're from Canada. You studied social science and also tourism, and you've played many different roles in the travel industry, including airlines, before you joined Club Med. Would you mind to comment on the key factors of your career journey that contributed to your success?
I would say it was determination, if I might resume it in one word. I was driven from a very young age into working hard, having good grades. I grew up in Montreal in a multicultural neighborhood, and I was always curious, but I was also very determined. And when I went from social science and so on and to tourism, my determination took another toll because I wanted to prove my mother wrong. Because she told me that if I was going into tourism, I will not be successful because it was very hard and there was a lot of people and you were not making a lot of money. From that moment on, I decided not only I was going to follow my passion, but I was also determined to prove her wrong, which I can share with you now, David, that she has told me several times that she was wrong and that I did the good thing by following my passion and so on. All that to say that, yes, I think that the tipping point in where I am today was to have a goal and to be determined to achieve it.
That's great. That speaks a lot to your determination and being driven. You overcome some resistance. Let's also talk about the bold steps that you've taken in your career. You've taken a number of them. How did you find the courage to take those bold steps, and what can you share in terms of learnings?
So I think the first thing for me was always not to take anything for granted. Your success takes a long time to reach, and it can go very quickly also. So you cannot take your success for granted. Another learning for me was do not forget where you're coming from. Very important. So it helps a lot in leadership style and so on. So always remember where you have started, where you're coming from, and always remember who you're speaking to. And of course, you can more relate. I find that it helps. Also, do not ever take kindness for weakness, because through my different moves and career, I was fortunate to have very caring leaders and with different style, but very caring. And I find that it brings the best out of you when you have a caring leader that is there to support you, to let you grow, of course, and make mistakes. But if it's done with kindness and looking out for you, I think that you can get even more so from yourself and also from your team. So it's not because you are kind that you are weak. And this is a mindset that I think that a lot of leaders today looking up to, because it's very important. And after, it's don't be afraid to make mistake. You take bold move and mistake happen. When it does happen, recognize it, try to fail fast and learn from it and get back on track and go for your objectives. So I would say that these are the one that really, in terms of every obstacle and every steps that I did, that I always kept in mind and kept me focused.
Such great advice, and especially like your comment about being caring and kind to people. It's a hallmark of a successful leader. In the early 70s or 80s, when I was coming up the ladder, the successful leaders are the ones who are really intense and tough. But how the world has changed, we all appreciate other people being kind and caring towards us and helping us with our career progression.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, you went one day from being in charge of sales to being in charge of the whole company in North America and the Caribbean. That's not an easy shift from one day to the next. Can you comment on the mind shift that are necessary in order to advance your career?
The mindset, I started by telling you about determination. I think that follows in that same line. And the mindset that you need to have, that I believe in, so is that always be curious, ask a lot of questions. And again, don't take anything for granted, because if you do, then you might miss out on some details or an opportunity and so on. So ask question. For me, is being curious. I have a lot of determination. You go for it. Also, don't settle, because when you're a leader, sometimes you say, oh, if I go this way, it could be the easiest way. But I always ask myself, is it the best way? And often it's not the easiest way that it's the best way, and sometimes it's the most complicated one, but you know that it might hurt at the beginning, but in the midterm, long term, it's going to be better. So always have a mindset of asking yourself, am I doing this because it's what it should be done, or am I doing this for the right purpose and this is the right step that I have to do? After that, you need to trust yourself. At some point, you have to say, okay, this is the objective. I have a great, amazing team next to me. Let's do it. And maybe we don't have all the facts and data, but let's do it and trust yourself. And you learn to trust yourself a little bit more with experience, when you have realization and so on. And when you have failed a couple of times, you know that you won't do this again. But once you have this, as you go and the years pass by, you gain a little bit more confidence. And then, even though you don't have all the data or all everything that you would like to take your decision, but you just go and you trust yourself. So I
Yeah,
do believe that this is what shaped me and the mindset that I have today, and that I think
I
I
love
try
this.
to other leaders.
Yeah, I love this. And I particularly like the comment about trusting yourself. There are many roads that lead to Rome, and there are many different ways to achieve what you want to achieve. But trusting yourself is the best way to accomplish what you set out to do.
But
Now,
again, you cannot do it alone. Huh? You have to trust yourself in terms of leading, but you need to be surrounded by a team of incredible people in order to do. But of course, there's someone that usually lead the way, and you need to have confidence in yourself that you can do it, so they can follow you and be with you. But obviously, alone, we're not getting anywhere.
I absolutely agree. You need to surround yourself with the best people. You can find people that are smarter than you, and so
Yes.
you can trust them as well. Now, advocating for ourselves is really important for our own success. And it's something that's really difficult to do because you don't want to appear like you're conceited. You advocate for yourself.
You're right, David. It's not an easy thing to do, and I'm much more easy to give feedback to my team than for me to advocate for myself. But as you have more experience and so on, I do believe the best way to advocate for yourself is first to remain true to who you are. Always lead by example and be factual and data. And again, I was telling you earlier, but don't take anything for granted. When I advocate for myself, I'm never in a position of this is my natural next step or this is what should come next. No, it's something that I aspire to do. And I will come to the table with the realizations, what I can bring, of course, to the business, and a vision and a strategy, and everything is tangible. And I know that when I sit down, like any other candidate, so you have to come with your best self, obviously, while remaining true to who you are. And of course, bringing tangible example and tangible experience that is important to your next step where you would like to go.
Sounds like you're saying let your actions and results speak for themselves. But I'm also curious, sometimes, especially for those of us in the minority group, women or people of color, it's hard to be noticed in a company. And how do you have conversations with your supervisors or your superiors so they know your career ambition and that you have good results to show?
So I had the good fortune may, to I've been working for Club Med for over 15 years now. So I've grown within the company. Club Med is a very human company, and they give us always ongoing training, and they trust you if you show, of course, talent, but also determination, and you want to grow within. So they invest in you. So I was telling you earlier that caring leaders were along my path. So I got caring leaders that were able to push me in outside of my comfort zone and to prove to myself that I was capable of doing things that I didn't think it was possible or achievable. So by doing this step by step, you get results. By having results, of course, you've noticed. Well, you notice what they say, and you raise your hand, because you have to raise your hand and to say, I want to sit at the table. I've done this with the team so far. I think we can go further. These are what we need, and this is where we want to go. And as you go, people start to trust you and trust you even more, see potential, and after it's a wheel. And the importance is to really raise your hand, to do it the right way, but to say, you know what, I think I can do this. No, I can do this. That I think I can do this if I have the following means or if I have the following opportunity. And I was, again, fortunate enough to have a company that really believe in its people and allow me to grow within.
That's number one, right? You have to work for the right company who value your expertise and your experience and who you are.
Exactly.
That's great advice. Now, next topic is about challenges and disappointments. We all encounter them. It's inevitable. And I was wondering if you could share some of the lessons that you've learned from the challenges that you've encountered.
Yes, I had several challenges over my professional life. But there's one I would say that, and we can talk about COVID and so on, but there's one very unique, I think, about myself is that, again, when I decided to switch from social science, to finish social science and to go into tourism, and my mom was saying, you can't do that. One of the other things that I didn't tell you is that I was not speaking a word of English. So I'm born and raised in Montreal, French Canadian. My first language is French. And she says, what are you going to do in tourism? The language is English. Well, I said, I'll learn it. But back then I'm at early 20s. And she goes, okay. Finally, I did my studies. I was okay, still not speaking English, but I managed. And my first position was at Delta Airlines. So Delta Airlines, American-based company out of Atlanta. And I wanted to work at the airport. And I did the interview. And it's in Montreal. So they asked me in French, do you speak English? And I said yes, but in French. I did not really speak English. And I said to myself, I really want to have the position. So I committed to myself that I need to speak English for obvious reason. And I learned English in 4 months.
Wow.
And on my own, reading with dictionary, translating, full immersion, watching movie, and so on. I learned it in 4 months. No need to tell you that Delta realized quite quickly that I did not really, it was fully bilingual, like I said, I was in French. And they saw that I was going quite quickly into learning. And they kept me, and I keep going up and up within that organization at that time. But that moment, which was a big challenge for me, I turned it around and it created tremendous opportunity. And one of them is talking here with you in English and living now in Miami, Florida. So
That's what they say. Challenges are opportunities.
exactly.
You turn
Exactly.
that challenge into a huge opportunity for yourself. Kudos to you.
Exactly.
It's a delightful story. Love that. Now, many of us struggle with the imposter syndrome. And could you share some advice on how you shift that negative thinking into something that's positive and constructive?
Yeah. Imposter syndrome really do exist. And for me, it's very much present in my life and even after all these years. And one of the I have several of them, but one of them that I can share with you is that I've been asked to do a keynote for Women's Forum in 2024. And when the PR agency brought me the opportunity, my first reaction was, I can't do that. Why would I do that? What would I say that would interest all these professional leaders and so on? I have nothing to say. And they said, no, we believe. And it was my first keynote. I did a lot of interview. I did a lot of roundtables and panels, but never a keynote. And David, it was very scary for me because, again, imposter syndrome, I didn't think I had anything interesting to share apart from my little story that I'm just resuming for you. So what I learned is that I needed to prepare, and I did prepare. And I was coached and I was helped. And again, you need to surround yourself by the best team. And I'm doing a shout out to Adam. He will recognize himself, which was my coach. And we worked on it several hours. And when I arrived, it was in Toronto. When I arrived on that stage that very morning, I knew I was ready. And while I was doing the speech, I was talking about imposter syndrome. And I was telling them that I was having it here on stage at that very moment because it was my first keynote. And that I was still asking myself, why am I doing this again? Because am I really interesting? All that to say that it was a wonderful experience. I got a standing ovation. And for me, that moment, I said, okay, I had the imposter syndrome and I still have it. But when you prepare and when you get out of your comfort zone, then anything can happen. And that was a huge learner for me. After, did I enjoy it? It's another story. But no, it was a great experience. But all that to say that yes, it's the imposter syndrome. Like you cannot have a better study case than this.
Yeah, I'm so glad you shared that story, and your advice on being prepared is such a wonderful thing for us all to remember. When you're prepared, you're much more ready to take on that imposter syndrome. Now, I was
And
wondering if you could share the best advice you've ever received.
the best advice I receive: in doubt, there's no doubt. That is really the best advice I've received. I receive a lot, but it tags to every sorry, it tags to everything. It tags to HR, it can tags to business, it can tags for everything. So when you doubt about something, there's no doubt. Stop. Because often we would say, oh, I'm not sure. If something doesn't feel right, it's because it's not right. And this is something that I challenge my team every day with. Sometimes they come to me with something and I said, what do you think? This person or this project or this, I said, what do you think? I'm not sure. Do you doubt? Yes, but I said, there's no doubt then. And now they're starting to see. And for me, it was really one of the best advice I've received among surround yourself with the best people. Don't ever be afraid to have all the best of any field around you. They will be better than you. They will know better than you in terms of their own field. And you know what? It's okay. And you can always learn from them and you bring them something else. So that's the beauty of a team, of course. But these are the two advice that I would say really guide me still today, every day.
Good advice. I love that. I think a little doubt is sometimes our mechanism of making sure that we've thought through everything. So it's probably okay. But once you decide to pursue something, you have to go at it with full gusto, with full conviction. So I totally agree with you on that. I'm curious because I have certainly evolved how I define success as I progressed through my career. And what about you? Do you think about success differently than you did 5 years ago?
Yes, I do. And I have COVID to thanks for that, if I may. And all that craziness, it allowed me to take a step back and to really be able to see the greater picture than just, let's say, a sales resort, the results on the spot and say, oh, we have done. I realize in time that often you do everything you can to have everything in place and you can have the best plan. But unfortunately, things happen. And the outcome is not what you expected. Do we have a commercial or a budget success? The answer will not be no, because for some reason that it's out of your control. But once you're able to take a step back and to say, we've done everything we could and we've done it really well. Did the outcome work? No, unfortunately, but we know why. If we could control, then we're not successful. If we can control and it's out of our hands, but we did everything, then we are successful and we will learn from that. 5 or 10 years ago, we probably would have this conversation. I would tell you, if the budget is not achieved, if my costs are not under control, if this is this, it would have been a completely different definition of success. So yes, I see success with much more now, again, a greater vision and much more that was what was put into it than the end results, which still have to be positive. How did we got there? I see this more than just.
I'm so glad you shared that, because a lot of people struggle to define success, and I'm so glad that you added clarity to this. Let's talk about how we can build confidence and influence, because that is so important in our success. I have people come up to me and say, I don't know what it is about me being in a meeting and I listen to conversation, I volunteer my thought and nobody pays any attention to me. And then afterwards, somebody restates the same idea as mine. And all of a sudden, that's like the best thing since sliced bread. Why is that? And I often try to suggest that maybe it's a lack of influence and maybe it's a lack of confidence in how the idea was stated. And maybe there are other reasons. So building confidence and influence is crucial to our success. What advice can you provide us on this?
I think that there's nothing that builds confidence more than having small wins. You don't need to have tremendous 3-year plan and so on, because it might take a while. I always say start with baby step. Get out of your comfort zone, try, learn, and it probably will work. And if it does work, you say, oh, I was able to do this much, then I can do this much. And I think that confidence, it's not built overnight. It builds with, I was telling you earlier, but the realization, the small win, to see someone grow. So give yourself some target, which are your own target, not necessarily the company you work for. But you know that for you to reach these targets, it's asking you quite a bit, because it's not something maybe you're used to, or you're getting completely out of your comfort zone. But once you do it and you say, okay, I was able to do this, do it again. So don't be afraid to challenge yourself and to set goals for yourself. You will build your confidence. After, I was telling you about being caring leadership. If you are true to yourself, if you are loyal, honest to the people that you're around, then the influence comes naturally. This is what we call leadership, right? I am not a manager. I want to be a leader, and I'm trying to give this to my team, because in order to influence, for me, it's more lead, is that you have to have the people that believe in you and that wants to follow you. And how do you do this? Is by staying true to yourself, of course. Lead by example. Raise your hand if you made a mistake and make it better, and give success to your team when it's due and things like that. But everything, the confidence and the influence, they go hand in hand and they go step by step. Because the more you're going to have confidence in yourself, the more you're going to inspire the team and your clients. And the more you inspire, then your influence is always coming naturally. But it takes some time. It does take some time.
Yes, I totally agree with you. It's a lot of small wins that begin to build your confidence and influence. Wonderful sharing that with us. I see that we are coming almost to the end of our show, so I have 2 other questions for you. One is, you've had a spectacular career journey, and you have a young son that's with you through this journey. What lesson do you want your son to pick up through this journey?
My son Sam is 14 years old. I want him to know that nothing good comes easily. You know, when we say it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. So I want for him to know early on that if he sets himself a goal or a small win or something, that he has to himself put the effort, because success doesn't come on its own. So for him, if he just one thing, of course, good values and so on, but for him in terms professionally, nothing good comes easy. And we know this, but often sometimes we're sidetracked. So if he can just keep this in mind, I think he will have a good roadmap ahead of him.
I totally agree with you. That's great advice for your son. Now, our show is about self-empowerment. And if you can provide one final piece of advice that would be on every billboard in North America, what would that be?
You've got this.
You got this.
You've got this. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love that. A lot of times it's the mindset, right? You got this. You got to believe in yourself.
Because sometimes you're in doubt and you have to tell yourself, you've got this. Again, it's all tied up to the imposter
I love
syndrome.
that. I love that, because if you don't believe in yourself, why should anyone believe in you? You got this. What a great model. Thank you.
Are we going to make some billboard of it so I can give it to my team and to everybody?
I think we should. You got this. But soon take over the Nike swoop. If you enjoyed the show with Carolyne, I hope you join us on our website. It's personalstories.com. Carolyne, it's such a pleasure to have you. Your comments have been most insightful and beneficial. Thank you very much for taking the time to be on the show.
Again, thank you so much for having me, David, and let's speak soon. Thank you.
Yeah, let's speak soon. Thank you.